Welcome once again to my channel. I'll be briefly explaining the difference between a single tier and a multi-tier app or architecture. So what is a single tier web app? A single tier web application, also known as a one tier application, is one where all components including the user interface, business logic and database reside on the same server or machine. So what this means is, this architecture is simple and efficient for basic low traffic application, but it's less scalable and can have availability issues if the server goes down. So just to make this simple, it just means that an application that runs both its code, the interface, the logic and the database on one system or server, usually all these desktop applications. So if you go to like a mall or a supermarket where you buy stuff and you're about to leave the store, essentially all those supermarkets, they just have one point of contact to check out. It's one software that is running one system. Those are a single tier application. Some websites, most websites are running single tier web apps, but there are some applications where you need to decouple this. So, and that is where the multi-tier application comes in. However, still speaking about the single tier, all the components, the user logic, just like I mentioned, and the data run on one system. An example is a desktop app with built-in database like Microsoft Access, your Microsoft Word. Those are single tier applications. So it has a simple architecture and limited to scalability, tight coupled of logic and data. Now, multi-tier web apps, looking at the diagram, you can see that we've separated the front end, which is where the application code resides, and the web server from the database. So, and in this case, we define multi-tier architecture, also known as an n-tier. N-tier meaning that it could be a 3-tier, it could even be a 4-tier, depending on how the developer or the engineers who are designing the system decides to run this architecture. So it's designed such that an application is divided into multiple logical layers or tiers, each responsible for specific aspects of the application's function. So a multi-tier application could also come this far, where the application is on one server, the backend logic is on another server, and the database is on another server. So this application is split into layers or tiers, each with specific rules. So common tiers are front tiers, so where your HTML and JS as your JavaScript, CSS, everything that works in the front end of this the browser is. Then you have your application tier, maybe where your PHP, Python, Java server pages are running. Then you have your database tier, where your Microsoft SQL or your MySQL or your PostgreSQL or whatever database infrastructure software you might be running are divided on the different servers. So two tiers are when the web server with HTML, JS and PHP are running on one server. So the web server talks to a separate database server. Usually everything happens from your browser point of view, whereas the 3-tier is where your browser holds the web application, holds the interface, that's the HTML and JavaScript part of the application, and your web server will probably hold the Node.js or PHP or JSP, ASP as case may be, and each layer is isolated and can scale independently. So it means that if you want to improve on your front end code, you don't need to tie down all the other applications that are running on the other servers. In case you want to change your database, you want to make a different modification or increase the RAM of your server of your database, you are not doing anything that would affect the front end application or the web server application. So this enables and encourages high scalability. So usually the key difference between a single tier and a multi-tier architecture are laid down here. So in terms of layers, a single tier is one layer, a multi-tier could be two different servers or layers, and more of that. Now when it comes to scalability, it's a bit difficult to scale a single tier application. Multi-tier application has high scalability ratio. In terms of maintenance, it's hard to maintain a single tier application because in most cases it looks like you would be having connection issues. You could be having timeouts while modifications are being made to the application, and rolling out update might not be as seamless as a multi-tier application. So when it comes to single tier architecture, pretty much the kind of security you can run, is one security model that it could be a one size fits all kind of security, whereas in a multi-tier you have full control of your security because the database can be running a different type of firewall and security. The backend could also be running a different firewall and security, and same applies to the front end. So in conclusion, the choice between a single tier application and a multi-tier application depends on the kind of application you're building and those who are behind these developments and the kind of environment you want to deploy it to. So a simple tier applications are simple and suitable for small standalone solutions, while a multi-tier applications provide better separation of concerns, improve scalability, security, and maintenance. You can make modern web and enterprise application. You can decide to change the interface of the entire application without impacting any of the logic that had been made on the application. So it just makes it easy to make certain types of modification. So as applications grow, adopting a multi-tier structure becomes essential for long-term performance, flexibility, and reliability. So thank you again for watching my video. I hope I've been able to shed more light into what a single tier application is and a multi-tier application is. If you like what you're watching, I would like you to subscribe to my channel, like, share with your friends, and most importantly, turn on the notifications so that you'll be informed when I release more videos. This would help you a lot, and it will also promote my work. Thanks.